Good evening, fight fans. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course, with me as always is Mr. Bobby Blunts and your boy. Saturday night, it was the UFC 319. Absolutely delivered. But Bobby, I'm going to start with you. We got to talk about the most impactful thing that has happened in the UFC history, Brian Battle.
Oh, give me. How did I know you were going to open with this?
I'm just kidding. Of course, we got to talk about the dominance that was Khamzat Chimaev Saturday night. Some people you get on the internet, they think it was boring. They weren't fans. Me personally, I was entertained. Was it a great fight? Absolutely not. Was it entertaining? I don't really know a sense of like entertaining is the fact, but was I intrigued and glued to my TV? Absolutely. But it was just one-sided, pillar to pillar. Khamzat beat down the former champion Dricus du Plessis. Bobby, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on the main event Saturday before we kind of get into what maybe could be next for both of them.
I mean, it's just so wild because, like, last week, I mean, even though I picked Chimaev, I thought it would be at some point, a competitive fight. And at no point in time was that fight competitive, even a chance of being competitive. I mean, he shot for a takedown the first 6 seconds into the fight. And it seemed like the writing was kind of on the wall from there. Chimaev was just kind of using the chest to chest in the crucifix position and kind of just maintaining that position. And it was absolutely enough to just keep Dricus there the entire round. The lack of damage that happened in the first round, I was like, okay, maybe he's weathering the storm. Like even when Dricus went to his corner, his coach said, oh, you just handled his best. That aged poorly because immediately the second round just immediately took him back down again, this time completely in the center of the cage. And when the third round came up, I was like, okay, we're in round 3 now. Like maybe all these gas tank questions are going to get answered. Nope, it did not matter. It looked like Chimaev could have probably done that for 10 straight rounds. And I have never seen a more dominant challenger just completely mollywop a guy that we thought was one fight away from possibly being the second greatest middleweight of all time. But Chimaev said, hold my beer, or, I don't think those guys drank, so hold my water, but that ain't happening. And I'm still like blown away by it just for like the sheer dominance. I mean, I just rewatched it coming on here, and even knowing the outcome of the fight, I was just like, wow, we literally just witnessed that. So there's a new king in town, and literally every middleweight contender they had in the crowd literally looked like guppy food almost with the performance he was putting on there. Not a lot of damage here with, there's only one round I would really consider a 10-8 under the new rule set, but he easily won all 5 rounds, and I don't know what the hell else you want out of him. I mean, I know some people press, action. You know damn well if he pressed that action, lost that position, and lost the fight, these same people would be crucifying him. So, get over it. You bet on the wrong horse. Sorry your parlay didn't hit, but what you witnessed was straight dominance.
Yeah, it was and I'm gonna call you out, brother. I love you, but you said I need to see this again. They got to run this back. In absolutely no world do I ever need to see this fight ever happen again. it was complete over and over again. I mean, I kind of got to ask you, like, what makes you want to watch this fight again?
First of all, let's just keep it funky, like I like to do from time to time, man. Okay, well, the last time we saw a crucifix that long, it was a guy named Jesus, and he's in a book that everybody reads. So the point is, right now, I would like for everybody to just take that bias, okay? Take that bias that you have in your brain and just let's just reframe the whole picture. He got done dirty. I'm not when I say done dirty, I'm saying that by round 3, just like Bobby iterated, there should have been a change of doctrination. Okay, shoot first. Don't let him. There was none of that. And when we were listening to the conversations, Drickus still looked very much as if he was in a space where he was possibly able to have taken control of the fight. But Khamzat is just that much of a well-rounded grappler that it was unable to do anything the entire time. 21 of 25 minutes in dominant position. That is crazy to me. Now, okay, there goes my insider right now. Seeing if I'm just texting him to see if he knows if there's a possibility. The idea is, if the game plan is different in your mind, can it be changed? Somehow, some way, is the outcome going to be different? Is there an inkling of a possibility that if we put into his mind that this is what will happen to you, that there will be a different outcome? That's where I stand. In most cases,
they could run that fight 10 times.
In most cases,
10 out of 10.
In most cases, I have to go. I agree with you. I really do. I really agree. I'm not going to lie about that. But if he was to actually go, you know what? He is going to wrestle me. I think he was afraid of being knocked out. He obviously looked scared of the stand-up. And when he did not, he changed levels on multiple occasions. In the first 5 seconds, it was a wrap. I don't know if I can stand for that. Yes, it was a total domination. Yes, it was. There were 10-8 rounds in there. Thank you, Bobby, for doing the math with the new rules. You are correct. But for some strange reason, I just have a funny.
So you don't think DDP had his best night? So like,
no,
that's why
no, I don't. Not even at his best night. I think that he's a fighter, and in the mindset of what he thought was going to happen, he was blown away. He was completely blown away. Now, if he comes to the match in a year and a half, and Khamzat is still the champ, and he comes back in a year and a half, and he beats somebody in January, and he says, I want a rematch, that's not going to happen again. Khamzat will not be that dominant. What I'm saying is, Drickus beat Sean Strickland twice in dominant fashion the first time. You see what I'm saying? I thought that was a true statement, and at that time, we were very high on Sean Strickland. I think that the equivalent is he has to fight somebody else, and he don't got to do it right now. He doesn't have to do it in January, maybe February and March. Drickus has to fight somebody else, and if Khamzat is still the champ, I don't think this is the outcome again. I do not. That is just being real.
I'm going to disagree. And real quick, before you go, I literally think that they thought they were banking on Khamzat to get tired. They had no answer to the wrestling. I just think they were like, okay, hey, we got to survive the first 2 rounds. Once you survive those first 2 rounds, he'll be tired, and then we can go to work. And then once he didn't get tired in the 3rd round, they had no fucking answer. Kudos to Drickus. Like, he would go back to the corner and be like, hey, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it done. His coaching, he might as well had us 3 in there trying to figure it the fuck out for him, because his coaching had no answers for him. They could tell him nothing other than hope and pray. You talked about Jesus being the crucifix. That's what needed to happen, is Jesus part the skies and come down and help Drickus, because that's the only thing that was going to be able to help him in that fight. Like, it was over. It was just repeat and rinse. Get up. Okay, bell rings again. Oh, taken down, held down, smacked to the face 5,000 times. It wasn't any real damage, so I get a lot of the naysayers or the haters, I guess, saying like, hey, there wasn't a lot of damage. You got to do more damage. You got to do more damage. what's his name from Morning Combat kind of talked about, because it was belly to belly and he didn't do a lot of damage. I can see that. I can get that part. But to me, it was still fascinating because, like Whit said, I will agree with you, like how good people thought DDP was. And even like Bobby, we talked about it last week. Like if he wins this fight, he might be the second greatest middleweight of all fucking time. But then he just ran into this steamboat that is Hamzat, and just got like waxed the floor and had no answer whatsoever for him. Just it was like they didn't even practice wrestling. Like it's like they didn't watch any tape. Like Hamzat did what Hamzat does in every fight. Every fight he has done the same thing, and he just repeated and rinsed. The only thing is he didn't get tired. I firmly believe they thought he'd get tired and they would win the fight in the 4th and 5th round. They could finish him when he got tired. Then they realized this motherfucker ain't ever getting tired. We're fucked. Bobby, you had something?
I mean, well, first off, I'm the asshole that had Dricus as coach of the year last year. That aged like milk. I mean, even seeing his post-fight interview with Dennis from Submission Radio, I could not believe the excuses he was trying to come up with for just being unprepared. And I mean, some people said,
that's your job as a coach, is to have your team prepared. You know what I mean? Like as your guy prepared.
So, I mean, some people said, oh, well, Chimaev's never done a crucifix before. Yeah, in the UFC, there's tape on him doing it in Brave. You mean to tell me they didn't watch those fights? I mean, you could send Dricus to Dagestan for 10 years, and he would not be able to make up the gap in between. Like, his defensive grappling just got exposed. I mean, whether it was the shooting that he had absolutely no answer for with the takedown, or once he was down, I mean, he kind of was just trying to buck up in the crucifix, which wouldn't work, or push off the cage, like with these lethargic movements that has worked in the past, but it's not going to work against someone like this. And I mean, knowing if Chimaev is going to like absolutely clean out the division, I wouldn't rule out a rematch happening, but I just don't think it would happen any different. I mean, though I picked the correct winner, I was completely wrong in how I thought the fight would go. Just absolute dominance.
I mean, I picked DDP, and I said I'm going to keep picking him until the puzzle gets solved. Well, the puzzle got solved pretty quick and pretty easily by Hamzat's team and Hamzat on Saturday. Who do you think should be next for DDP? If I'm a wrestler in the middleweight, I'm licking my chops. Like I am like, oh yeah, we can handle this easily. I mean, if I'm Fluffy Hernandez or somebody like that, I know, and we'll talk about kind of, but what's next, do you think, for DDP here?
And I'll say this real quick because I couldn't remember the name, but Sam Calavita, the renowned strength and conditioning coach, known for intense garage workouts in his training facility called the Training Lab. Yeah, he was working out with him for the strength and conditioning coming up into 319. Cavaletta's worked with a couple other guys.
Yeah, he's a cyclist. He's they were talking about this on Joe Rogan. He's like a TJ
Tour de
Dillashaw
France type of guy.
Yeah, TJ Dillashaw worked out with him. Now it is funny that he's also EPO kind of guy, but Hamzat might want to be careful there.
Yeah, right. But hey, look, sometimes you gotta switch it up. But in the end, bro, what's next for somebody like DDP? We gotta tone it down. Tone it down a little bit. I'm afraid of something as if like they throw a really up and comer, a really high up and comer, a high skill level up and comer, somebody that needs to test themselves to try to put themselves into the top 2 or 3. Somebody like Kyle Barrio comes to mind. We got Renier de Ritter at 5, but like you said, Fluffy Hernandez at 6 right there. That is like somebody that's going to test him in a way that he got defeated, I think is what the UFC will do next. But Barrio as a big name without
if he loses it to Imanov, he could. I kind of said this earlier. I think the loser gets DDP.
When?
Yeah. In my mouth, yeah. When he fights when he fights Nasruddin, if he takes the L, DDP is going between Nasruddin and Carvalho, but that is somewhat of a like a number 3 or 2 elimination fight, and we still wouldn't see that until February, March of 2026. You know what I'm saying?
I think you can see it in January. I mean, that fight's next month. Caio and Imanov is next month in France. So I mean, you could see it in December, January. What about you, Bobby? Like, if I'm TDP, like if I'm somebody though, like Anthony Hernandez, even Caio, Brendan Allen, somebody like that, like raise my hand. I will fight DDP and do the same thing Hamzat did to him.
So you're asking me what's next for Dricus?
Yeah.
You know, I do agree that definitely based off this performance, it gives a little bit better of a blueprint of what these guys could do to beat Dricus. But at the same time, I think we're also underselling Chimaev's skills like that, because a lot of other people have tried to do this. They just haven't really had, the success with it. But definitely kind of those guys at the top of the division, especially, with the wrestling chops, you could see that being interesting. But I think my best advice would be for him to just kind of wait, take his lumps. They announced a lot of stuff to kind of determine Chimaev's next opponent. And from there, they can kind of go with that. I don't think he's, no disrespect to Brendan. The Brendan Allen matchup is interesting just because of the jabs back and forth on Twitter and stuff. I mean, Allen.
I just look at somebody who's got a strong wrestling game that would be wanting to be like, man, I could easily handle him. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and I could totally see the UFC doing that. I could also see Dricus asking for someone with a main wrestling base to kind of get back in the conversation, because though he got completely dominated, it wouldn't shock me at all if he's able to beat some of those top guys. They would probably give him another shot. Chimaev would probably have to go through a few defenses before it, but I totally wouldn't rule it out. I don't want to like drop him as far and say like match him up with Paulo Costa. That does nothing for me. Matching him up with MVP, we know what would kind of happen there. It might be kind of interesting stylistically, but I don't know. If we're not looking at the rankings, the Brendan Allen matchup is kind of intriguing to me because, Brendan Allen's coming off that good win.
Allen's 9. Allen,
some history between them.
So if we look at it, and wait, did you have something you wanted to add here real quick?
Yeah. I wanted to just kind of sign it off on with this right here. And Bobby kind of alluded to it a little bit. I think that the gap in wrestling prowess is what if it happens, is what we'll pay attention to. If we think Hamzat dominated Dricus like this, the gap between Dricus and the next person, I think, is what we'll realize in the next fight. Like, we are talking about these 2 or 3 guys that he could really go up against and have a really strong, strong fight with, for 3 rounds. I think the next person he fights, we're going to see the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to him wrestling. Before, when it was Israel, when it was everybody else, they were going, South African wrestling. I remember all of that. That was the noise we were hearing. And then he kind of switched it where, to make his fights more exciting, he knocked some guys out. He pummeled them guys out.
But if you look at like DDP's resume, especially in the UFC, like he hasn't really fought outside of Derek Brunson. He hasn't really fought like an elite wrestler. You know what I mean? Like he fought Sean Strickland. Sean loves to stand and stay. That was a slugfest. They love to stand and bang. He fought Robert Whitaker. Robert Whitaker's not a great wrestler. Loves to stand and bang. Izzy, same thing. Who else? I mean, Darren.
Well,
Till.
Ironically, when he was on that come up, there weren't any top wrestlers in the division at the top of the rankings. He beat Whitaker and then kind of jumped up from there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He hasn't fought like an elite wrestler, like up till Hamzat. And so, like, just kind of looking at it here, so a couple of fights have already been made. It was just announced yesterday. RDR versus Anthony Hernandez is gonna. That fight is booked in Vancouver. That's RDR is on a. I mean, this is 5th fight in 12 months. Like, I mean, when that fight happens, so he's right there. That's 5 and 6 fighting. You got Nasruddin or Imanov versus Kaio next month. So to me, like, who's more impressive? If Nasruddin wins, like, I think he probably gets the title shot. And, you know, I still think for DDP, it's probably the loser of that fight that he gets. But, like, Brendan Allen's there at 9. He's already beat Robert Whitaker. Like, he's already beat Izzy, already beat Sean. So to me, it's really like, how far do you want to go down? Do you get the loser of one of those fights? Like him and RDR would be. RDR's got a pretty good wrestling base. You know, is a good grappler. If he loses, I think that would be a fight. Or maybe even if he wins. But, man, I would have a hard time saying RDR doesn't get a title shot if he beats Fluffy, because that's like 5 in a row here in the UFC. Go ahead, Bobby.
Any more appetite for a possible Drickus versus Whitaker 2?
No.
Okay.
I don't need I think I love Bobby Knuckles, but I've said this after the fight against RDR. I think his title days and being fighting those top contention guys are over. I don't know if they want to move him all the way down and fight Brandon Allen, but I wouldn't mind that fight.
Well, that was my only thought behind it, is like every scenario you're talking about is him fighting a guy coming off a loss. So, like, even though he beat Bobby pretty convincingly, it can kind of be sold to me a little bit more, especially when we've seen both of them get dominated by Chimaev in very different ways.
Yeah, you're right, but I just think that I don't think Bobby's going to fight. I think he needs to fight down before he fights back up. That's the issue.
I agree. He needs to take down somebody on the bottom and really,
I
really
think
show us how he comes back.
You know, for Hamzat, out of you guys, so it's kind of, I think, settled, maybe 4 guys here, right? You got 4 guys that are going to be fighting in this little middleweight who's next. It's Fluffy and RDR, and then you got Kaio and Imanov. Wait, I'm going to ask you, I'll start with you. Which of those 4 guys are you buying the most stock in to beat Hamzat?
I want to change it just a little bit. Who am I looking to beat Hamzat? Maybe not. But who am I looking to make the fight interesting? And right now, we got to see what happens with this RDR, this RDR fight coming up right now.
RDR and Fluffy.
It's funny to think about Rene de Ritter and his style of fighting. You know what I'm saying? But we just seen, Hernandez. We just seen Fluffy, on a fight night put up some really big numbers. You know what I mean? So I don't want to lower the standard or lower the plane of Hamzat, because we just saw it. Like, we literally just saw it. So we're still pretty high on him. But if anybody can go in there and maybe oppose, not even oppose, it's just, let's put a stop to what we just saw. Like, how do you stop it? We got to have somebody that's ready to sprawl, that's going to throw a knee at that takedown, anything. And I can see de Ritter with that type of style, making it awkward, making it uneasy, the level changing, the feints, so that he doesn't immediately go for the leg. I think that was one huge problem for Drickus. The idea of him switching levels was not even in Hamzat's mind. Hamzat was like, he ain't going nowhere. He's standing straight up. He's ready to beat the bank. Nope. Pick him up, put him down. And that's exactly what happened for 5 rounds. So to me, de Ritter's unorthodox way of going about, especially the first couple rounds normally, I think it'll just at least give him a challenge. Not he might not win, but at least give him a challenge, bro. You know what I mean?
I like it. What about you, Bobby? What out of these 4 guys? And then maybe there's a dark horse you got.
I love it when the UFC does our job for us, because like them booking Fluffy and RDR, because you heard the kind of rumblings of Chimaev wants to get on the October card. So like in that moment, I kind of thought, well, maybe they'll call Fluffy, or maybe they'll call RDR, because I thought it'd be just way too quick of a turnaround time to do the winner of Imanov Kyle there.
Yeah, same.
And but shit, man, I don't know. Like, to answer the question, after seeing that performance, I think he's going to eventually get to all of them in time. I would probably have to maybe lean Fluffy because of the grappling and the gas tank. But at the same time, I don't want to sleep on Imanov. It absolutely is not Kaio. So, I mean, that's one I can.
I really hope it becomes Kaio.
It will not become Kaio.
I really hope it does.
Hey,
the
Fighting Nerds Camp may have something different to
W.
say about that in like a couple months. The Fighting Nerds Camp may have something different.
Nah.
I'm going to become Kyle Baharo's #1 fan because Bobby is his #1 hater.
No, I'm not even a hater. I mean, I'm just legitimately, my issue with Kyle has always been that I don't find his wins as impressive as other people do when it comes to talking about him as a, title contender. I just simply don't see that.
Is this month? You can,
is this a Imanov fight, the Litman's test to completely prove me wrong? Absolutely. But I'm telling you right now, the whole reason the UFC booked Fluffy versus RDR is if Kaio wins that fight, he is not getting the title shot next. And them doing that matchup kind of signified that for me. Now, I think if Imanov is able to get a kind of flashy finish or something, being in the home crowd of Paris, that might be the only reaction that can kind of get him to leapfrog, even though he would deserve it at that point. But to make them make that decision before Fluffy and RDR, but Dana kind of alluded to it in the announcement. They're just kind of playing with house money, and they're just going to use those two fights to determine that. And I really got to say, I'm not opposed to that, even though I do believe if Imanov is next, it should absolutely just be him. And with the activity we're hoping to get at Chimaev, I don't see why they wouldn't just book that and then, get the winner of Fluffy RDR to go next. But I do want to say, hats off to these guys at the top for not squandering on a spot trying to get a title shot. They're fighting each other. So mad respect to both Fluffy and RDR for, taking this opportunity.
I got mad respect for RDR. Like I said, this is his 5th fight in the UFC, like in a calendar year, which is insane. An insane run here. So I got mad respect. As far as like who I think could give Khamzat the best title, I think both those. RDR, like Witt said, is a good case. Like he's awkward. I'm a little concerned because of his bigger size. Because I felt like him and DDP are very similar. RDR is a little bit better grappler. I really think Fluffy could give him a challenge and could really almost win that fight. Like that's how I'm pretty high on him right now, just because of the grappling, the gas tank. He's got all the tools, but you just never know. I mean, Khamzat just absolutely what he did to DDP Saturday night is I'm still like in shock, and was just like holy shit. Like that's what I walked away from Saturday night.
And I'm telling you, people are still sleeping on Chimaev striking. They just see, the insane shots and just figure, oh, this guy's just a grappler. He can strike too.
Yeah, we've seen him knock out people. Ask Gerald Mershart. You know what I mean? Like ask around. Like he's knocked out people. Speaking of getting knocked out in holy shit moment, there might not have been a bigger holy shit moment than on Saturday than the 2 back-to-back spinning elbows. The first one by Carlos Parates, and we'll get to that. But Lerone Murphy, welcome to the spotlight and welcome to the title contender. What he did Saturday night solidified to me. He is next for Volkanovski at 145. I was kind of like, maybe it should be I can't even think of his name now.
Mozart,
yeah. It should be Mozart. He should be next. But after what Murphy did Saturday, by all means, it's Lerone Murphy time. at 145 versus Volkanovski for the simple fact he fights more, he's more reliable, he's coming off the huge knockout. 1,001%. I mean, what he did to Pico, Jesus. He said it himself. He saw a man's soul leave his body. Wait, your thoughts on the impressive win that was Lerone Murphy Saturday?
Bro, let me tell you something, man. I'm really high on Lerone Murphy right now. I think, a lot of times we get good fighters and we get them in situations where the level of just expectation is really high for somebody else. And we're thinking, oh my God, it's going to be this and that. Man, Lerone Murphy shut all of that down. The Aaron Pico train was really roaring into the station. You know what I'm saying? We heard about him. Oh, he's this. He's. I'm not. First of all, let me say this. I'm not taking nothing away from him. Aaron Pico is definitely earned his chops, as they would say, to be in the UFC. He is not someone to be slept on. But in this case, he got slept by Lerone Murphy, who has been showing us time after time again that he is of that ilk. He is one of those ones. And I'm excited to see the ascent. We get English fighters sometimes, and just because, the accent and where they're from, we really don't get to see them really prove themselves. We kind of get to see them late. It's kind of like the Leon Edwards. We just not getting to see MVP with top tier competition in the UFC. But Lerone Murphy right now is really put on a show, and it was not even close. I think he had Pico really, really done in by like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I think just Pico's chin was really strong, but by the time he really focused in, closing minute and a half on that round, man, and he hit him with that spinning elbow, that was really just the straw that broke the camel's back. But Pico was taking some tough shots and just, staggering enough just to signify, hey, that he's going down. And you heard DC and Joe Rogan say that, oh, man, he's stunned. Oh, well, Pico's, as soon as DC started calling the guy tough or something like that, he could tell that they've been wobbled, that they staggered a little bit. But Lerone Murphy, I think, seeing the way it was, knowing the moment was like all eyes on him, pulled out a spinning elbow out of the hat, and probably after he saw Carlos Prates do it, he said, "Man, I could do that."
There was footage. They have footage in the back where he was practicing, and Pico did look good. Pico's very aggressive. His style's very aggressive, in your face. He's kind of a killed or be killed fighter, and Saturday night he got killed. But there's video of, like, even Lerone in previous interviews said, like, I'm going to use his aggressiveness against him, and there's footage of him practicing that spinning back elbow. Bobby, your thoughts on Lerone Murphy Saturday night?
I mean, that was just absolute cinema, especially the back-to-back aspect. He completely, exactly what he said. He used his aggressiveness against him. You saw Pico coming out there really aggressive. Pico definitely looked sharp, but, he straight hospitalized him. He was down before, he was out before he went down there. And, where
the hell, Herb Dean, I swear, is like always on the other side of the octagon smoking a cigarette, because Lerone even got another jab in. I'm like, damn. Like, the only person I've ever seen Herb Dean save was Dustin Poirier, when he slid his ass in there to stop Justin Gaethje from not hitting him one more time. But yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great moment for Lerone, because I was saying this last week. I'm glad they gave him this opportunity, because he seemed to be a fighter that they were just exiling to the apex to main event things, and it's like, come on, like, he deserves more than that. So to be put on this card for the co-main event, we knew you could tell how high the UFC was just by how the commentating was going. It was very pro Pico at the beginning of it. The UFC wanted to kind of show off their new toy, but they probably gave him one of the worst matchups for that aggressive style there. And it really showed. Completely out cold. What's this question here?
Yeah, real quick. Prodigal Love wants to know, do you think Chimaev will fight the rest of his fights like he did against DDP, or do you think he just did that to show how dominant he can be? He's fought all his fights like that, like he did to DDP. To me, like, just ragdolls you. Like that's so I would say, yeah, he's going to fight all his fights like that. There's nothing to me that's his style.
I would expect him to be a little bit more wild because definitely in that fight, you saw Dricus was being very conservative with not wanting to give up anything for a choke. He was kind of, tucking his head in with the crucifix to hold off damage. And I expect other guys that he fights in that division to attempt to fight out of that a little more, which would kind of give him more offense. So I do think that specific performance of crucifying him for 24 minutes will probably be a one and done, but the dominant chain wrestling is definitely here to stay.
Yeah, agreed. What do you think is first of all, I don't think we should see Pico for a year. Like I don't know, the UFC is probably going to try to want to run him, but I don't know. Just he got brutally knocked out, and who knows? Like, so I don't even really want to ask like what you think should be next for Pico, because to me it should just be see you next year sometime, late next year.
More than likely, not to bury the lead, but what you said earlier, and I have been someone that has been, when they made the Pico Mosavar fight, I was pissed off because I thought Mosavar would, absolutely deserves the next title shot for everything he's done. But I have to completely agree with you. Lerone Murphy absolutely earned that next title shot and really put a stamp on it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's him and Volk next. Like in Volk he tweeted out, see you in December.
My best answer for what would be next for Pico would, let's maybe give him a fight. You can give him someone ranked if you want, but let's go to the bottom of those rankings because, we said that Pico is fighting his most difficult opponent on Saturday. And that definitely showed by the end of the first round.
Yeah, I mean, you could just do him and Patricio Pitbull.
Yeah, I think Pitbull might be booked.
Yeah, he is, but I mean, we shouldn't see Pico for.
Yeah, no, he should definitely take some time. I mean, he's absolutely going to get a medical suspension off that KO.
Yeah.
But
I think, I'm telling you, we shouldn't see him for a year.
A year, maybe not, but it just like you said, medical suspension. That was a clear case of the lights went off. You know what I'm saying? And then
the lights went off, and then he went into the sunken place with. He went into the sunken place like.
Yeah, somebody was knocking the teacup, and he just so happened to fall down.
Exactly. Prodigal here wants to know, what about Kai Asakura? Poor guy is so good, but on the ground he keeps getting mauled.
Give him someone not ranked.
Yeah,
and a striker that is not ranked. Like, let's at least give him someone that can't wrestle, because that was rough.
Yeah,
he looked good in the first round, but after that first takedown, you saw how hesitant he got with everything, and it was really curtains from there.
Yeah. And while we're on the subject of things that were slightly but uncannily disappointing or disheartening, Chase Hooper losing to Alexander Hernandez for me was another one. I was like, I was watching intently, going, "Get him, Chase! This is your moment!" Prelims. It's a big call. Bow, and it was out. You know what I'm saying? So big shouts out to
somebody under the age of 45.
Rob buried him in the space after that happened.
Yeah, I was like, finally fought somebody under the age of 45. Correct. And then also shout out to Edson Barboza. This is the back end of his career, which I think is a great career. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna talk bad about about my guy, because in real life he's been through the ringer, he's been up, he's been down. Edson Barboza is the name. When at one point in time, those 24 wins were against good people. Even though he got 13 losses, those 24 wins were against some names.
Torres, is that the real Torres Finney?
I doubt it. Chimaev, and Fluffy will humble Kaio and DDP and RDR. Okay. All right, Torres Finney. All right, thanks, Torres. DM me on Twitter, Torres Finney. We would love to have you on the show if you're the real Torres
He is
Finney.
Team Chimaev, but they've already talked about they would fight each other if a title opportunity arose, as far as him and Imanov.
Real quick, Carlos Prates. I mean, back. What a so
What
the
kind of
first
cigarettes are
spinning
those?
back elbow. I mean, yeah, man. He said it was only going to last one round between him and Jeff Neal, and right at the buzzer, by gosh, that was at one round. Impressive. I thought Prates he looked bigger, maybe just taller, but I don't know. He looked good to me Saturday night. Bobby, your thoughts on kind of what's next here for Carlos Prates as he re-enters, he took kind of the one loss back in Kansas City here earlier in April to Ian Gary, but nice bounce back win here Saturday.
I mean, definitely the performance he wanted to have. I mean, you called it right at the buzzer beater. There are a lot of fun matchups you could put him in. Yo, what up, Rob? I personally want, and I kind of got killed for this, for suggesting it, because everyone just is under this assumption I want every fighting nerd to lose or something. I actually don't have that much problem with Prates. He doesn't really rub me the wrong way.
We know who rubs you the wrong way, bro. We've heard the stories.
But I mean, for me, give me Prates versus Michael Morales. That I get the whole thing of, I don't want one contender killing off another. Fuck all that. That fight would just be, that's a perfect 5-round main event. You probably wouldn't need the 5 rounds, but that one just gets me rubbing my hands give it to me.
I think Prates versus, I like that, but I also like Prates versus Joaquin Buckley.
That I also like that. That's interesting stylistically wise. Carlos won't have to worry too much about the wrestling, but Buckley still will shoot. But I'd totally be up for that too.
Hey, and shout out to Rob. He put it out there. I want to give a big shout out to anybody who's an MVP fan like I was. From time to time, MVP comes out there and he's doing it for the fans. I watched the video of him training, doing all the Michael Jackson kicks with the bag, all of the Michael Jackson chops, and then out there he goes and performs. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Killer Gorilla fan. I like Jared Cannonier as a person. I love the fact that he was on this little comeback tour where his injury kind of took him out of title contention. But this right here, I think, I don't know if anybody's ever had someone that they don't like play in their face. But Jared Cannonier let Michael Venom Page play in his face, and it completely threw him off his game. Yeah. And he didn't show any of his skills until it was too late. And by that time, it was a unanimous decision. But MVP is MVP, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know where you put him at right now.
Yeah, here's my pushback on I want to see MVP at middleweight. I don't really want to see him in Prates. MVP just needs to stay at middleweight. He's going to have to work on the wrestling, obviously. Him and Hamzat nowhere near need to be in the same octagon. But he's not ranked now number 10. I think I just looked at the rankings at middleweight. To me, I think his days at welterweight should be done. That's the only reason I don't want to see him in Prates. I'd rather see MVP stay at middleweight and fight somebody. Really, him and Izzy would be a fun fight. Now they both won't do that fight. They've kind of said they'd have to pay us a lot of money because they're friends. But to me, that's the fight. I mean, Torres Finney says MVP versus Rob. That's not a bad fight. I kind of like it, Torres.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that just a little bit. The Rob Whittaker versus MVP thing. It's one of those where the situation would definitely speak to there being a good bit of stand up. And Robert Whittaker's a showman. You know what I'm saying? Rob will strike a punch and wave to the crowd or something like that. So I think that'd be a good one. But it's just weird to me just how people know that MVP is going to showboat some kind of way and nobody says, all right, as soon as he puts his hands up, I'm taking him down or something,
Yeah. The only fight I want to see MVP at welterweight is him and Leon Edwards, like, King of England's or something, So
Yes.
yeah, that's the fight to me. Real quick, Rick Allen, back to Pico real fast, wants to know, Pico ever gonna go to a decision in a career, you think, homies? Probably not. He's killed or be killed.
Not if he fights like that.
Yeah. So yeah, Rob says real quick here, MVP needs someone to come forward to shine. No matchups with counter strikers. Exactly. Like, everybody wants to talk about like him and Wonder Boy or somebody. I don't really need to see that. Like, somebody that can push.
Is it a karate match? We having a point fight? That's all we gonna get if we Wonder Boy.
Yeah. Exactly. Anybody else to you guys, Bobby, stand out to Saturday night before we kind of look ahead to this Saturday's China card?
I mean, I really got to give props to Tim Elliott, absolutely, because he kind of seemed to be put in a moment to lose, and he did the farthest thing from it. Didn't get frustrated in the first round, and came back and won there. I'm gonna absolutely butcher his name. I don't even think Witt could pronounce it, but Chimaev's boy that came off the Contender Series. That's kind of interesting to see what type of potential that can come down the line and stuff. There were a lot of like random hiccups on the card, and he got really put into the spot to headline the prelims when that was supposed to be the Bobby Green fight that fell off. So
yeah.
I'm
my man. He fought Tuesday and Saturday, right? Wasn't it Tuesday?
Yeah. He had like a 4-day turnaround. So
I'm gonna try to say his name. Basinger Serkev.
Hey, it's better than Dana because you actually tried. I mean,
Basinger Serkev.
Dana's just telling him to change his name to Jeff or something.
Boy from last night doesn't even want him fighting in the UFC. You can't speak English, you can't be in the promotion, according to a guy from last night's Contender Series.
And listen, I'm in that boat with Bobby, just to close it out. Like, big shouts out to old man Tim Elliott, basically put in there to it's the gladiator goes in to fight the crocodile in the water, and somehow, some way, the gladiator pokes the crocodile in the eye and kills him. You know what I'm saying? So big shouts out to Tim Elliott for coming out there, because we haven't. What is it? 2 years, 2.5, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was like almost a 2-year layoff. Yeah,
the previous the previews before, like, Tim Elliott was looking like a straight caveman. Remember what was the guy, Tom Allen in Lost? Tom Hanks in Lost? Yeah, he was basically looking like Tom Hanks in Lost in those previews for the fight. I'm glad he shaved before it happened. But yeah, definitely big shouts out to Tim Elliott.
Yeah, Finney's on point.
Yeah, we kind of mentioned it. Yeah.
I was just going to say middleweight is extremely healthy. Great time to, the top. A division that is absolutely been revitalized with the changes at the top. And I'm glad we got, some more contender fights going for it. I can't wait.
Yeah, real quick. I mean, we kind of mentioned it, but Alexander Hernandez, he was the biggest dog at plus 350. He's the guy that beat Chase Hooper, so we got to shout him out for the nice win on Saturday. Edwin Barbosa lost a close fight, so it might be time for him to kind of hang it up. Father Time is undefeated.
He looked pretty old, like, no disrespect, but he definitely maybe it's just me thinking of my own mortality and feeling old because I've been watching him forever, but he definitely looked a tad bit slow.
Yeah. I'm going to transition to this Saturday. Bob, you're going to have to get up. What's the plan for you, man? Because I think it starts at 6 a.m. Eastern. So you just you pull the all-nighter, or you get some Z's and then wake up early, because I think it's 3 a.m. your time.
The prelims start at midnight. So,
okay.
Yeah, it is going to be. I know Rob's in the chat. You doing a space on Saturday for that one, Rob?
Hey, pancakes, knock out some pancakes, baby, on Saturday. I can't wait. This card's pretty solid. I re-looking at it here. It is headlined by Johnny Walker and Zhang Mingyang. The co-main is a 5-round co-main event. Brian Ortega versus Aljo.
That's the main event to me, easily.
Yeah. Huge fight that in heavyweight, Sergey Pavlovich versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Acosta wins this one. He could be next, baby. He could be next. You got Summer Marjay versus Kevin Boris. My guy Charles Johnson versus taking on Loner Kavanaugh, the 9-0 prospect on this card as well. So Michael Pierre versus Kyle Dukakis makes his return. He's been gone for like 2 years. So a little something for everybody here, Whit. What's your thoughts here? Waking up early and watching some fights Saturday morning.
Well, as a person,
no Saturday morning for the cartoons for the kids. You know what I mean?
As a person with a baby, I'm 9 times out of 10 gonna be like woken up at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning anyway. So I'm definitely probably gonna cut this on. It's really interesting, man. You know how the UFC does. When you go to a certain country, you gotta lace the card with the names that the countrymen are going to recognize. So to look down and to see 1, 2, 3, 4 Asian fighters, fighters of Asian descent. Let's put it like that. We don't even got to name them. I'm excited to see what type of show that they put on for their countrymen, because of course we know culturally divisive words can be used. Do not bring a dishonor to this house is what most of them are probably thinking. But in all actuality, that co-main Brian Ortega with Aljo, some implications for the both of them having rough last 2.5 years. Aljo at one point in time being at the top. Of course, Brian Ortega being at the top at the top one time. But one time this could have been a fight for a title, you know what I'm saying, with the two of them. But then Sergey Pavlovich, I like it. Don't get it twisted. Pavlovich is putting guys out. But Tayaki Nuriyaji, the Islamic Chinaman, I've seen this guy on, I forgot what I was looking at, and they had the highlights of him from one of those Asian promotions that, of course, I don't know or can't pronounce the name of. That guy's nice. A little more on the ground, like pummeling wise, not necessarily knocking guys out, but he has knocked out a couple cats. I'm interested to see what he looks like as the card gets started and we get it rolling. But 3 o'clock in the morning, man. Mess around and catch your boy up, man. Rob, what it do? We're gonna get some Celsiuses and just pass those out, right? That's what we're doing?
Rob's right. I'm gonna be so sad. You got to wake up early just to see Johnny Walker get knocked out, because every time he gets knocked out, it's one of the most funniest things you can ever watch on live TV. So I will be sad if that doesn't happen, Rob.
Fuck you.
So
yeah, definitely be a highlight.
What about you, Bobby? Is there a fight that you're looking at? And I'd like to actually pick all three of these, the three fights at the top, because I think they all have some sort of really good meaning to them. So, but is there a fight that you're looking for before we make some picks here?
I mean, I'm really interested in the Charles Johnson fight. They just won't stop giving this man up-and-coming contenders. Like, you would think one day the UFC would learn their lesson, but apparently no. They want to stomp out this up-and-comer there. So probably that. I'm also very interested in the Waldo Cortez fight. Just, he struggled in his last fight. A lot of people were surprised that he won the decision. So kind of interested to see if he could bounce back from that. And he's got a very dangerous Russian opponent across from him. So you can't really fuck around with that one. So it should be entertaining. Normally when they do cards like this, you can kind of sleep through them and stuff. And it's going to be pretty impossible for me to miss this, because they stacked it pretty well.
I'm a little sad no Leech on the card. I am a little sad. Where's the Leech been at? We'll start with you. We'll start with that heavyweight fight. Sergey Pavlovich, who is coming off a win. He has lost 2 out of his last 3, though. and he's taking on Waltez Cortez Acosta, who is the dog. Acosta's been on a nice run though. Waldo is actually he's undefeated in the UFC. Now that I look at it, oh no, he has one loss, but he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fight winning streak. So your thoughts here on that heavyweight fight?
Oh yeah, man. These heavyweights are this ain't going all rounds, bro. This is not happening. Pavlovich comes to take guys out. But like you said, right now we're looking at my man Waldo Cortez Acosta from the Dominican Republic. All right, we're looking at him right now on on the Tapology numbers right now. Everybody's going Pavlovich, dog. I'm talking about 82%, and they're going 82% by knockout. I'm somewhat in this main vein of going along with that. I have not seen enough from Waldo Cortez Acosta for me to say, hey, he's got because Pavlovich has a level change in his game. He just doesn't have to use it because he normally puts guys out. So I'm going with the favorite today. We're going to take Sergey Pavlovich in China. China makes me think of those what tariffs. Tariffs.
What about you, Bobby?
I mean, a sane man would probably definitely pick Sergey just for the power aspect and stuff. But, I think I owe it to Sean Corn. I've been on record in the past being very unimpressed with Waldo in the Apex. It was like watching paint dry. And he improved a fight after that. His last performance was not good, but I think he can build some momentum. And though I'll probably be dead wrong on this one, give me the Salsa Boy.
Woo! Yeah, this fight has like title implications. I never thought we would say the Salsa Boy has title fight implications, but there is. Because if he wins, he's one of the few guys that Tom hasn't fought and hasn't beat. So it would be right there, right? Like if he beats Sergey, you could be like, he's definitely next after Tom runs through Gone.
Have him back up for the Cyril Gone fight.
He gets to be the backup fider. The backup fighter. Yeah.
Yep, Cyril Gone tears an ACL. Put him in.
Backup fighter. Do you need him? Do you need one? That's going to sell a lot of pay-per-views. Luckily, you don't have to sell pay-per-views anymore because
I would love that just for the memes. I would have so much fun with
that. Luckily, you don't have to sell pay-per-views anymore after this year, so we don't have to worry about it. I think Sergey wins, but I'm going to root for the Salsa Boy. But I'm picking Sergey here. I think Sergey probably knocks him out in the first round. Yeah, Bobby, you mentioned it earlier. You think this is the main event to you, and it's probably the main event to most people. It is none other than Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. We haven't seen Ortega in a little while. I believe the last time we saw him was last September at the Sphere when he lost to Diego Lopez. He has lost 3 out of his last 4 fights. Now, one of those he did lose to Yair, which he got hurt. But so then he came back and won, corrected that fight, but is coming off the loss. Aljo is coming off the loss to Mozart. This is only his 3rd fight here at 145. And that close fight to Mozart, that was a real close fight. He lost. Could have went either way. But your thoughts here on? I mean, this is a grappler's delight here.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild. He hasn't fought since UFC 300. I know he was waiting for kind of the right opponent, and
he fought after that. He fought in December. He fought once since UFC 300.
Who did he fight again? Why is that?
Mozart. He fought Calvin Kattar at UFC 300.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I know he was saying that he wasn't really happy with the matchups the UFC was kind of giving him, but this definitely seemed. Hey, stop that cat! Get out of here! Sorry, that could not have sounded good on people's ears. The cat scratching. a lot of fights like this, you kind of think, oh, is the grappling going to cancel each other out, sort of thing. And I really hope it doesn't. You know, I would expect them to strike at the start of the fight, but I really do hope we just get some kind of high-level grappling here. And I think it could go very similar to the Aljo most of our fight there.
This is 5 rounds, Rob, too. He said for 15 minutes, but it's 5 rounds. They confirmed it is 5 rounds.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why it's absolutely the main event in my mind. And I mean, I don't think we'll really need 5 rounds for the actual main event. But, you know, Aljo is very good with his control. So I'm going to be interested to see if Ortega is going to be able to get any sweeps or really implement any of the jiu-jitsu being on his back. But at the same time, he knows how to roll, so it should be very intriguing, even if it goes to the mat. But just based off past performances and stuff, I'm a little bit more inclined to go with Aljo. But I cannot rule out Ortega walking away with the win. But for the gavel, give me Aljo.
Wait, what about you?
Yeah, man. This one, I got to do the heart thing, man. My heart honestly wants to go with Brian Ortega. I've been a fan of his for a while. I remember, like I said, at the time, this was I think was supposed to happen at least once if Brian Ortega was hurt, if I'm not mistaken. But somehow, some way, I really think Aljo has the upper hand, especially when it comes to the kill set. You know, the Funk Master is not devoid of funk still, I think. When it comes to the takedowns, fighting on his back, yeah, Ortega all day long. I give it to him. You know, that jiu-jitsu is deadly. He can definitely fight off his back. He could definitely somehow catch Aljo in the wrong space. But I feel like strength-wise at this weight, this is where Aljo will feel the most comfortable. The taking him to the ground is a possibility. But if you stand up long enough with Aljo, he's got hands. Okay, he's got hands. So yeah, shout out to Suresh Fitty who said, "Yo, I love a grappling matchup. This is definitely that. We're not looking for nothing too sexy with this one. We're looking for a lot of mat work on this one. But if it comes to that, my heart would love to say Ortega, but my brain, I'm going with Aljo for this one as well, bro.
You know, I think this is a loser leaves town match. I just think as far as being a title contender, this is the last kind of gasp. Even Aljo kind of alluded to it, like he doesn't have too many left in him to like kind of climb up that hill. Ortega's already talked about like a year ago about moving to 155, and then they booked him against Diego, and then they're booking him still at 145. So it seemed that's kind of weird. But he's talked several times about moving to 155, and it'll be interesting. I'm kind of with you guys though. I'm gonna ride with Aljo. I wouldn't be surprised if T City pulls something crazy off, but I'm gonna ride with the Funk Master one more time here.
But to be clear, you're not saying the loser shouldn't be allowed back in the country, right?
No, yeah. To be clear, they can come back, but
okay.
live in China for a long time, or they'll win.
I just think, I mean, like loser leaves town as far as like a real legit title contender. Like I don't think either of after their loss like this, I just don't think that they can climb the hill.
You know, it's definitely unfortunate that, especially Aljo being a former champion, you don't feel like he's gotten the same love of someone that has switched divisions and stuff. And so it would be because I think even with a win here, he's still going to kind of be dealing with a uphill battle to, get that spot. So,
they're like that with a few guys. He comes to mind. Davison Figueiredo, like he comes to mind. Like, I mean, he's fighting on that Brazil card against some guy I can't even think of. Like, it wasn't even like a highly ranked opponent. He comes to mind. There's another guy I was just thought of. I was like, man, these guys are like former champions, and they just like they don't even care about him.
Yeah, I mean, with Figgy, his knee got messed up pretty badly with Sandhagen. So in that scenario, it wouldn't shock me if maybe they're trying to, not throw him back in the deep end. But like you said, that is no cake matchup.
Yeah. Rob, 100% chance a last chance qualifier 145. Let's get into the main event. It is Johnny Walker versus Zhang Mingyang. The last time we saw Zhang Mingyang, I actually saw him live in Kansas City where he beat the brakes off of Anthony Smith. Zhang Mingyang is 3-0 in the UFC. He's 19-6 overall. Undefeated in the UFC. He's actually, he's on like a huge fight winning streak. Like, I don't even want to count it, but more than 10, like, overall. And then you get, he has taken on the Johnny Walker, who is really lost no contest and has lost his last two. But before that was on a nice little run. He had won 3 in a row after the Jamal Hill knockout. Wade, I'll start with you. It's funny. I actually sent this message to Bobby. In 2019, people were saying, Johnny Walker's the guy to beat John Jones. Johnny Walker. I mean, people were hyping up Johnny Walker in 2019. And we've come a long way since them days. But your thoughts here on this main event?
And so, once again, this is one of those events where I like when we go somewhere and the person on the main card or the main event, the undercard or whatever, is worth watching. Mingyang, almost, saying the name sounds like what you do when you crank up, your dirt bike, Mingyang, but at the same time, I really appreciate what he's done in the past. The Anthony Smith win, and we love Anthony Smith. We're not talking down on Anthony Smith, but he went out there, he got pummeled. Performance of the night bonus. Ozzy Diaz, 2024. I think me and you talked about this one, Bodkins. Performance of the night bonus. Brenson Ribeiro, another performance of the night bonus. He is on a roll right now, putting guys in the position of where they look bad. All these first round victories by him, taking dominant position and winning. This may be the toughest test for Johnny Walker, who, like we said about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years, we were talking about Johnny Walker being able to dethrone one of the best, greatest possible fighters ever to, grace the octagon. And with that being said, I'm going with the hometown hero on this one, dog. I don't know. It's something about being at home, eating the food you love to eat, walking those streets, people being enamored with your presence and positive. China got all those digital boards. Just imagine your face being on those boards, bro, those billboards, and the people recognizing you in the street. I'm going with Mingyang on this one. And I'm taking him to win in dominant fashion. And maybe not necessarily through knockout this time, or by KO, but I'm looking at least by points. Johnny Walker has the fighting prowess and the wrestling to kind of get off of his back if Mingyang gets him down. But I really feel like if he gets put in a horrible position, I felt like Ozzy Diaz. I remember that one. I felt like Ozzy Diaz had a really good chance of doing it, but he was too fast. He was on your back and he was getting punched way too quickly, too fast in that fight. And I feel like something similar like that could happen to Johnny Walker. What happened to Anthony Smith was just Anthony Smith, kind of wanting to get out there one more time. I'm not saying that Anthony Smith didn't put his best performance out there, but it wasn't what we think could happen with Johnny Walker. And even with that being said, I still think Mingyang comes out and does his best work in front of his hometown crowd. So going with the Chinaman, play cue the Mortal Kombat music for me, right?
What about you, Bobby? Who you like in this main event Saturday?
I think Zhang's gonna hit Johnny so hard he's gonna think he's back in the fucking desert. With these big heavy punchers, it can definitely go one way or the other. Absolutely. But as Torres Finney alluded to it, I'd be a little bit worried about the chin there. We haven't seen Walker get hit before, and I'm
it's
gonna
simply the best. It's simple. I don't ever want to see. I mean, I love watching knockouts, but I mean, there's something about when Johnny Walker gets knocked out. He gets knocked out in hysterical fashion.
But then almost every time I like completely dismiss Walker and count him out, he ends up getting the incredible finish or knockout. So I'm not completely writing him off and saying he does not have a chance to win this. But when they immediately announced this, I was like, oh, yeah, Walker's going to get chinned in China. So, we'll see if that comes to fruition. But, yeah, definitely a tough draw, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Give me you said it perfectly. I don't think this gets out of inside 2 rounds here. Give me Zhang Mingyang by knockout. I hope it's. I can't wait to laugh Saturday morning. So wake up early, watch the fights, folks. Give me Zhang Mingyang. Wait, you got anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, just to throw it out there real quickly. Of course. This was a great week of fights we had going on. Funny news, possibly not funny news. Also, who cares kind of news. Everybody's talking about the news and the videos of Tank Davis in the gym, hitting the mitts and stuff like that. Oh, he's going to fight somebody. Oh, who's going to fight? He needs to fight Lamont Rose. Let's just be real. The whole Jake Paul referencing right now. Come on, bro.
It's signed. It's a signed deal.
If it's a signed deal, which I researched and said this is true, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately,
60 pounds, bro. 60 pounds in between 2 men. All right, and I don't know where they're gonna meet at for this one. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Paul comes down. Maybe Tank goes up because Tank when he drinks and eats is a stocky, small guy, you know what I'm saying? But for the money, you know what I'm saying? For the money on Netflix with Jake Paul, we get one fight at a catch weight, and that's it. But and then we can take the right off into this. I'm not with it. I'm also in disagreement with this one. But I'm saying for the money, Tank beats him at a catch weight, Tank knocks him out or punches him really hard in the face a couple times and rides off into the sunset because it's no way this is going to be taken. Like, hey, Tank is going to be a champion after this one.
Roach has been calling this for months, saying that Tank has been ducking him, and that was proven to, like, normally in scenarios like this, I'm like, at least these guys are getting their bag. Fuck that. This is textbook ducking.
Quack, quack, quack.
Yeah, the only person he should be fighting next is, Roach, and you can sell me this can of horseshit any way you want. It is just nothing more than a clown fight, and the real opportunity Tank wants nothing to do with. And I know Jake Paul will just do this whole, I'm the shocking viral moment thing. Yeah, that's cool, bro. I really could care less about it.
I thought he was supposed to get I thought he was supposed to start taking serious fights. He was supposed to be he's going to try to become legit.
And, I'm sure
serious money, serious fight, serious money, serious fight, serious money, serious fight. Which one you going to go with, bro? I don't know.
I find it
more
comical.
Serious fights, you have more serious money you're going to get.
I find it comical that Jake Paul is going to try to say that Anthony Joshua is ducking him when literally Tank is ducking Roach to take this fight. Like, you couldn't write a better sitcom.
Agreed. Quack, quack, quack. As Charlie Murphy, or not Charlie Murphy, but Rick James said, I wish I had 2 more thumbs because I would give this fight 4 thumbs down.
Indeed.
Yeah, add that to the list of things I don't need, don't want to see. Much like what man now his name's eluding me. Just signed to go to BKFC. Frankie Edgar. I don't need to see Frankie in BKFC. I mean, the last few times we saw Frankie, he got brutally knocked out in the UFC's last 3-4 fights. I don't need to see it.
I love the action in BKFC, but Feldman is slowly turning into just another fucking scumbag promoter. That is straight. When I saw that announcement, if I could put it in 2 words, straight muff cabbage. No need to see that.
Wow. That's SAT verbal, ladies and gentlemen. Muff cabbage. Let's use it all in it. Let's all use it in the sentence before the weekend one time. I love that.
I agree, Rob, and as in the great Chael Sonnen once said, fight the easiest guy for the biggest payday. That's how that's how it's supposed to be done. But really, it's exhibition. But I mean, I would rather see him fight Roach and be legit here. That's all we're saying, I think. So
put Bobby G's comment up.
Can't duck if I already beat you. Well,
yeah, I'm sorry. I don't give a flying fuck what the judges said. Tank lost that fight and looked like dog shit.
Listen, man, if the grease rolls off my forehead and I run to a corner and say, Botkins, give me a towel. Okay. That's different, bro. It was just some different circumstances in this one. But big shout out to Bobby G. You know what I'm saying? And my guys over there, man. You know what I'm talking about? We're gonna get it together too.
Yeah, quack, Tank. But yeah, I'm in agreement. Bobby, any last or final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I think we covered it all. Shout out to everyone hopping in the comments and stuff. Love the engagement and stuff. And it should be a good weekend. I got my main fantasy draft in my home league, so get the fights early out of the way and get to focus on that. So cannot wait.
Yeah, good luck to Frankie, but we don't need to see it, Rob. I don't need to see it. I don't need to see Frankie die. Anyway.
Yeah, and even if he wins, that's great that he's getting the money and stuff. Maybe he just wants to get that taste out of his mouth for that last performance. I just don't really think BKFC is the animal to be doing that with. I mean, you're talking about taking away two of his best weapons, his wrestling and his kicks. I just don't have too much of an appetite. But I'm a sick fuck, so I will be watching. Agreed.
Torres, yeah, man. I don't know if you're the real Torres Finney, but if you are, we're all three of us are active on Twitter. DM us, and we'd love to have you on the show if you're the real Torres.
Even if you aren't the real Torres Finney, follow me at Mr. Bobby Blunts with a Z. Thanks for coming through.
Yeah, hit that like and subscribe to Torres. Rob says he's a grown man. If he dies, he dies. So amen to that.
I'd expect no other comment from Rob than that. So very, very good. I knew it was coming.
If he dies, he dies. So, hey, appreciate it. Yep, appreciate it, Torres. That's pretty much it, folks. We'll be back next week, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern for another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'll be back with the boys on Fall Start Thursday. Tomorrow night we'll be talking AFC South right here on the channel. So at 8 o'clock Central Time. So tune in for that, please. Other than that, be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share. We'll see you right back here next Wednesday for another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. For my guy Bobby Blunts, my boy K Witt, I'm Bodkins. See you next week, baby.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.